Welcome to Boomer Between the Games, presented by Xfinity. I'm your host, Boomer Esiason. Later on, we'll take a look back at Baltimore's hard-fought win over Pittsburgh, and then we'll take a look ahead at the Week 10 NFL matchups. But first, let's welcome in our guest. He's Chris Sims. Chris has been a former NFL quarterback, NFL analyst for Bleacher Report, and a CBS game analyst. So welcome back to the show, Chris. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Boom. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about the Ravens at the Steelers. Now, this was a huge game for the Ravens. They were in the midst of a long losing streak, and this is always a measuring stick for a team like the Ravens, whether or not they can beat a division rival at home. They got back a number of their healthy players, and Steve Smith being one of them. But the player who really exploded on the screen, and I'm sure he enjoyed it more than anybody else, was Mike Wallace. A long touchdown reception and run after the catch. And certainly he was a difference maker for Joe Flacco. And the intensity of this game was exactly, I think, what everybody predicted.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. And I think when you talk about Mike Wallace, listen, he's been a good addition for that team this year. The problem is they just don't have a lot of weapons to go along with it. They don't have an offense that's been able to take advantage of some of the ability Mike Wallace has as a deep threat down the field. Hopefully Marty Mornhinweg can take over that duty and implement him in the offense a little bit more. But as the game as a whole, man, Boomer, I don't know about you. I'm concerned about Pittsburgh. I think there's a lot of things to be concerned about Pittsburgh. We knew that their defense wasn't very good, especially their pass defense. I don't see how it gets better. Their defense is too predicated on four guys in my mind: Shazier, Timmons, Tuitt, and Cameron Hayward. If they're not healthy, they're not the same defense. And the offense, of course, is the thing that has to carry the Steelers, and they're not capable.
Yeah, there's no question that Pittsburgh is trending downward. I was actually interested to see whether or not Mike Tomlin was going to roll the dice with Ben Roethlisberger last week. The fact that he did not get hurt, and late in the game he finally got into some rhythm and they started moving the ball somewhat, even though it was really garbage time. The fact of the matter is he's got most of the rust off, and he should be ready to go this week against the Cowboys. Now, speaking of rusty quarterbacks and quarterbacks that may be struggling a little bit right now, maybe that would be Carson Wentz of the Eagles. Got off to a horrendous start against the New York Giants at MetLife last week, but did show the propensity to come back late in that game.
I'm still concerned about the Giants' offense in general. They got two short fields. That's how they got the first two touchdown passes off the Carson Wentz interception, like you talked about. And listen, I thought Carson Wentz was phenomenal after that. He really did show a great ability to bounce back and kind of block that out of his mind for a young quarterback and really put them in a lot of opportunities to win the game. I mean, Doug Peterson went from the most conservative coach in the history of football 2 weeks ago to basically just saying that the heck with it, I'm going to go all in on every play. I thought the 4th-and-1 call to Carson Wentz was a stupid call. I think Darren Sproles as your short yardage running back is also stupid. And then kicking the field goal down 8 when you know you're going to, again, have to drive down there and score the touchdown again just to make it 28-23 instead of 28-20 or 28-28 altogether. I thought they were bad coaching decisions. But regardless, the Giants' defense is good. Concerns about their offense, and this Eagles team is certainly in a little tough spot right now.
You know, kind of interesting that Doug Peterson goes from aggressive to reckless. And, you know, when you convert those fourth downs, then you are aggressive. You're a great coach. You're Jack Del Rio because Derek Carr's making all those plays for you. But when you don't make those fourth downs, that's exactly when fans start calling you reckless, and that's dangerous. Time for our Twitter question of the week presented by Xfinity. And this comes from @Ben S. Myers. Ben wants to know, first the Cavs, now the Cubs. Who's more likely to be the next team to end their championship drought? The Raiders or the Cardinals? Hashtag BoomerBTG. For me, it's the Raiders. Just look at the youth on the roster, and they're led by a dynamic young quarterback who has played big in big spots. And last week's performance against the Denver Broncos tells me all I need to know. They are here. They should be getting Aldon Smith back in the next few weeks. I'm not really sure what kind of shape he'll be in, but he'll certainly be a presence on the field to help Khalil Mack. The defense, I thought, played great against the Denver Broncos, but the running of Latavius Murray behind the ginormous offensive line really tells me that the future is very bright in Oakland.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't even think this is a no-brainer. The Cardinals are trending downward. I mean, they're getting older at the important positions. Carson Palmer has certainly fallen off a little bit from last year to this year, where you said it right, Boom. The future is bright in Oakland. Man, they got young studs all over the field. I mean, you got Derek Carr, Amari Cooper. You got a good tight end. You got 3 good running backs that are young. You got Khalil Mack, who's arguably one of the best defensive players in football, if not the best. There's a lot of positives in Oakland right now. And, how can you say – I can't say enough about Derek Carr. Derek Carr probably would have been the MVP of football for me to this point, at least at the midway point. I mean, they were 6-2, and you think about it, all 6 games were because Derek Carr was clutch in the fourth quarter and really brought that team to victory. Last week was the first game they really didn't need him to make magic. But, the Oakland Raiders, it's fun when the Raiders are good at football. It makes the NFL season better, and I certainly think they're the next team to break that jinx.
Hey, if you have a question for us, tweet at us with hashtag BoomerBTG, and maybe we'll use your tweet on the show. All right, Chris, let's take a look at a couple of the Week 10 matchups coming up. Seahawks and Patriots meet in the biggest game of the week, in my estimation. It's Sunday night. It's in Gillette. Seahawks basically abandoned the run against the Buffalo Bills the other night, but it looks like Russell Wilson is somewhat healthy. And what can you say about Jimmy Graham? He will present a problem. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that means you have 3 major targets that will be tight ends in this game, whether it be Martellus Bennett or Gronkowski with the Patriots. But also, now Jimmy Graham is something to deal with down the field. He had a sensational game against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, he definitely did, but I don't think it matters. There's no way Seattle goes into New England and beats New England because Bill Belichick and company are not going to just say, we're going to play man-to-man in your face and let you throw balls down the field, Russell Wilson. They're another team. Their offense stinks. It's all about Russell Wilson making magic. They can't run. They can't pass protect. It's on Russell Wilson every week to kind of make it happen, and when he doesn't make it happen, they lose. And I got to think that Bill Belichick and company are way too smart to let him just take over the game physically. He does look better running around, but the offense is too simple. Bill Belichick knows that basic West Coast offense as good as the offensive coordinator Darryl Bevell does of the Seattle Seahawks. He knows. I worked in New England. He knows it up and down. He'll be all over everything.
Now, the other aspect, the other game that we're going to look at real quickly, Cowboys get a huge test in Pittsburgh. I think it's the other way around. I think Pittsburgh gets the huge test because they're the ones that are under the gun now. They're in the midst of a losing streak. We talked about them earlier in the show about their lack of defense, or lack of a passing game, passing defense, a lack of a pass rush. They're not getting turnovers. They're not getting interceptions.
At the end of the day, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, it's 24th in football. They can't stop the pass. They're better against the run, but I don't even think they're all that great against the run. I think their run statistics are good because everybody goes, why run it on you guys? Your defensive secondary stinks. Let's just throw it every play.
All righty. Thanks, Chris, so much. Look forward to seeing you down the road. Catch us next week, everybody, with our guest, Brian Jones from CBS Sports. Thanks for tuning in to Boomer Between the Games, presented by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.